is a haunted house, the best one in the area. Most of the core people do just about everything. Construction, building, acting, administration. You know, only the actors are the ones that are lucky to get to focus on one thing all night. Get to work and play at the same time. It was the Wilson meatpacking plant. I don't really know too much about it. It closed down, I believe, about 10 or 15 years ago. There were 3 buildings in the complex, and this was one of them, and the other 2 are across the street on the back side of the building. The first year we moved into the building, there were still some old hardcore customers that came by, I guess with the hopes that we'd opened up again. I guess it was a big place back when it was open. The natural decor of the building just does kind of lend itself to, you know, murder and butchery and cutting things up. So we get a lot of people that because of that kind of think that our backstory might actually be based on true events. The core story is we have a character, Charles Gish, that called the Bishop Factory Butcher, that was a serial killer that returned to an abandoned factory that he had worked on in his past and committed his foul deeds there. Just because of everything that had happened, the place kind of became imprinted with, you know, the evil energy. So people that visit the site can actually slip into like his mindscape or dreamscape, however you want to describe it.
Starting back junior high school, I grew up, had a passion for it, and wanted to start a haunted house. And, tried to get one going as a fundraiser when I was in college at MU, fell through. And then ever since I graduated, I knew that I wanted to get it up and going, so finally did in 2005. I dabble in a lot of different type of writing, creative ventures, music and stories and everything. So I knew that if I was going to do a haunted house, one of the things that's usually lacking in a lot of haunted houses is a good backstory. We have a pretty lengthy and detailed backstory, so I think it just adds to the flavor. Our first year, it was a mad dash, and we set up the haunted house in about 3 weeks. Now, since that time, it's probably now, you know, 3 times as big, and it basically just keeps kind of expanding and changing every year. So we will typically start the planning process in January and February as far as designing and planning what we're going to be doing for that following season. And then about March is when we usually start the actual design. There's so much stuff that people don't think about or don't know about as far as the legal stuff from a business standpoint, as far as a safety standpoint, and all the red tape, and there's just so much stuff to get it up and going. Besides, that's the business side. Besides the actual creative side, it has to be a good haunted house. So it just takes so much time and effort, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. It's a year-round, separate, whole another full-time job. There's 2 things in our haunted house that are my favorite. One is our opening scene, just because it's so complex and involved, which involves everything from air blasts and moving floors and, you know, a giant animatronic, which is all coordinated and, you know, controlled by a computer. And then our cave scene is the other one, with our huge, you know, waterfall and laser effect and everything. That's usually a fan favorite. No running, no outside light sources. The big one that we have to stress to the customers is that at our haunted house, the actors do touch the customers, and the customers are not allowed to touch back.